I'm going to be talking today about OKRs and how we can use OKRs in order to scale agility. So what we're going to go through today is, first of all, we're going to establish a baseline on what OKRs are. We pretty much know it, but sometimes we have different things in mind. We're going to see the life cycle of OKR implementation. We're going to see some issues when it comes to implementing OKRs, and in these issues, we're going to see exactly why the agile community is kind of pushing back, and why people don't think OKRs can be agile. And then we're going to see actually how OKRs and agile can come together in order to scale agility in our organization. Before we get started, a few words about me. So, as Aaron said, I'm the director of cloud platform engineering at Citrix. I've been working with agile methodologies for about 7-8 years now. I've done agile coaching work before, and most recently, I've been working the past year and a half with SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework, for which I'm a SAFe program consultant, which is the equivalent of what we would call an agile coach. So to get us started, a few words about what OKRs are. Why do we use them? Why do we need them? So first of all, OKRs stand for objective and key results, and we use OKRs in order to align strategy and execution. So we use OKRs to translate strategy, translate what the executive team needs, wants for our company, and we take that down and we translate that into what our team has to do in order to take the execution towards that direction. So starting from the higher level, we have the strategy, then we have the objectives that come from the strategy, which is the objectives are the goals. It's the different goals that comprise the strategy. Key results are measurable steps within these objectives, and then key results are then broken down further to initiatives, which initiatives then describe the work that the teams actually have to do. And this is more or less how OKRs work. We start with what we call the big, hairy, audacious goals. This is the big, ambitious strategy of our company. This is usually the 3-5 year strategy we want to achieve, and we normally break that down on yearly increments. So we take that and describe the business outcomes we have to achieve in order for us to achieve our goals, to achieve the strategy. And these outcomes are the objectives. Now then, for each of these outcomes, we describe multiple key results, and these are smaller, measurable steps towards achieving these outcomes, the objectives. And we usually try for those to be quarterly and be something that is measurable, and we can focus on a shorter amount of time. And then, as I said, we break down the key results in initiatives, and the initiative is then what the teams are taking to their planning and what they work towards in order to achieve the key results. So taking this from the book, start with why. Why is the center? Why is our reason for existence? And why usually is something most companies and smaller companies usually have this. It's kind of rough. Why isn't refined as much? And this is really important because without a strategy, without a clear why, we don't have OKRs, cannot exist. Then building upon the why, we have the how. How are we gonna achieve this purpose? And the how describes the objectives, the business outcomes. And then what is describing the work. So what do we have to do in order to achieve the how? And this is usually what the life cycle of OKRs looks like. So it starts, if we take a financial year, OKRs usually start at the end of the previous year. So the executive team, the leadership would normally start putting the strategy in place. Then right at the end of the year, we take the strategy, break it down to objectives and key results. So right when the year starts, we give the teams exactly what is expected from a business outcome perspective to be achieved. Then the teams take the objectives, the key results, break this down into work items, the initiatives, every quarter. So at the beginning of every quarter, we look back, we look what key results we are targeting to achieve, and then the teams see what we can do, what work we have to put in, so in order to achieve those key results, and they create the initiative. At the end of each quarter, we get the business outcomes, we get the work that the team has actually delivered, and we look back, we match the initiatives that were actually delivered, and we compare this with the key results. And this is the OKR review process. And at the end of the year, we finally evaluate the total business outcome with the objectives and with the overall strategy of the company. Now, this is what an OKR example looks like. So we start with a strategy, and our strategy is to become the most popular social network. In order to achieve that, we have two objectives, two business outcomes. First of all, we have to increase user engagement and increase our user base. And breaking down the first objective, we need to have more easily comprehensible goals. Those are the key results. The key results are, you usually are going to understand this by seeing when numbers come to play. So we see that in order to increase user engagement, we want to increase our daily views by 6%. And we also want to increase our daily usage to at least 6 minutes per user per day. Now, we kind of have a common ground on what OKRs are. So now let's see why Agile needs OKRs. And of course, where it can all go wrong. So if we take the seventh principle of Agile, of the Agile Manifesto, it states that a goal is to deliver working software. So this is a measure of success for Agile. So in a large enterprise, looking into a small team's work, delivering working software isn't the only goal. You should always see how this software, at the end of the day, even if delivered successfully, it might not fit in the current strategy. Strategy might have changed. It might not be good in other aspects. So you have to orchestrate finance, sales, engineering, and so on. So we have to see how everything ties back beyond software delivery. Now, the second part is that Agile is a software, most Agile frameworks are software delivery frameworks. That means that we focus on strategy execution, which is a good thing. And, that's the main reason we need, Scrum and Kanban and all these frameworks. We need them for our teams to manage their work effectively, for our teams to be Agile and be customer centric and be resilient in change. But we kind of also want to focus on reviewing business value and what the business outcome of the execution was. So we use OKRs in order to connect the business strategy with the execution. And another part is that strategy changes rapidly, and in large companies we usually have the strategy, which is something that magically happens far away from implementation and behind closed doors. But what we want to do is bring strategy, connect strategy together with the implementation. And when strategy changes, we want the implementation, we want the backlogs, we want the team's work to quickly adapt to that change. Now, common issues, I'm going to focus on three issues we see on OKR implementation, and those are the issues that usually make the Agile community push back on OKRs, and these are the issues where OKR framework implementation actually fails in an Agile environment. So, first of all, when we start implementing OKRs in a large enterprise, we usually do this as a top-down process, and we end up not using OKRs at all. So we just end up renaming our traditional waterfall goals. A second issue is that OKRs are used to describe the work, and again, going back to the previous slides on why do we need OKRs. OKRs are needed in order for us to tie execution with business outcome. If we describe the work, we are losing focus of the business outcome. And the last thing is that OKRs again are there to bridge a gap, and sometimes bridging the gap between business and engineering, we have to address that there is different languages, different definition of success. Sometimes OKRs might be too technical for the executive to understand. Sometimes OKRs are too non-technical at all, actually, for the engineers to actually understand. So we have to. We're going to see how we can overcome this issue as well. So first of all, starting with the waterfall goal, we see this usually in large enterprises, traditional businesses, where the culture is more command and control, and waterfall goals have been used in the past. So we have the VP setting goals for his whole organization without getting feedback, without actually interacting with the people implementing it, getting feedback on what the OKR should be. And the solution for that is, first of all, dynamic planning, and the second is bi-directional OKR implementation. That means that OKR should be an interactive process between leadership and implementation. Objectives should be set by leadership. The people that know the business outcome needed, those are the people who should describe the objective. And then the team should actually reply with a key result. So describe how we're going to achieve this goal. So in our example before, if we want to be the most popular social network, this is what should be communicated to the implementation teams. And then the implementation teams should reply that in order for us to do so, we should increase user engagement, we should increase our user base, and so on. And dynamic planning means that we should treat OKRs as a living organism, as a normal backlog item. As strategy changes, this should be dynamic, and we should adapt quickly to that. Now, again, still on the waterfall goals, we usually hear the term cascading OKRs because we have cascading goals, cascading priorities. And again, this is not how it happens. So we set OKRs, we start setting OKRs on the higher levels. And then when we start breaking them down, we are not, it's not just raining goals, raining key results, and raining outcomes that the leadership requires for us to work on. Is more outcomes. Our outcomes come top down, and then we reply bottom up with what the key results should be. And when we move one step further down, we're talking about strategic OKRs, which is how we want to achieve our goals, to tactical OKRs, where tactical OKRs mean how can we be successful on our implementation. A second really common issue is OKRs have been focusing on the how. And this again comes in, we've seen this in many traditional organization enterprises, where management is used to dictating what the engineers should be doing. And this is activity-based. So we don't describe that we want to increase our user base, but we actually tell the engineers how to do it. And again, that shouldn't be the case. We should be outcome-based, and outcome-based OKRs describe what the business outcome is, and then the team is powerful enough, is knowledgeable enough, and they can decide what the key results should be in order for us to achieve this outcome. And this is an example of an activity-based versus a value-based. So here our objective is to increase customer conversion for our e-commerce website. The activity-based would be to set a few key results, and the key result would be develop a new landing page with a click-to-action form. Now here, what we see is we actually take the objective and describe the work that has to be done in order to achieve this objective. And of course, this is wrong because this is decided by leadership, and leadership doesn't actually know how to solve this problem. Leadership should come with a problem, and then then the implementation teams, the engineering teams, they should give the solution. So in the value-based, again, for the same objective, the key result that is decided is that we want to generate 200 organic visitors, and we want to increase lead conversion to 6%, and we want to reduce customer acquisition costs. And then the engineering team is responsible to take this key result, this as their objective, and generate more key results on their own, and then describe the work that they believe they have to do in order to achieve this objective. Now, the third issue is we have misalignment between leadership and implementation team. So we have a different language to describe the work. We have a different meaning for success. So building a new, nice, shiny website that works really fast and has great reliability might not mean success for leadership, while it means success for engineering. So we have to kind of put everyone on the same page. And the way to do it is we're using a methodology called SMART. So we want all key results, all objectives and key results to be specific, meaning when we write a key result, we should all be on the same page that this means the same thing for leadership and the same thing for engineering. They should be measurable. It should be really clear what success looks like. Measurable means that at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, I can look back and easily, definitively say that this is successful or not. Attainable, of course, we have to challenge the teams. Engineers like to be challenged, of course, but we also have to be realistic. It should be something that, if we set unrealistic goals, we start feeling disengaged right away. And of course, it has to be relevant and time-based. So it has to align with our strategy, and the timing of it is also really important. Now, finally, we're going to look a bit into the implementation, and we're going to go this into really, really fast examples. We see how OKRs would work with Scrum and how we can treat them as backlog items in Scrum. And then we're also going to see how OKR works with Scaled Agile. So starting on the top level, in Scrum, we have themes, which are usually span the whole company. They're large areas, long running usually. These are our objectives. So taking the strategy, we end up with some objectives that can span multiple organizations, and this is something that can run during the whole year. Then breaking that down, we have the initiatives. Initiatives we target usually to be anywhere between 3 to 12 months. And that happens in key results as well. So key results, we want them to be about a quarter long. Each time we want to have quarterly checkpoints. And then drilling further down, key results are taken by the team, split down to epics, and then split down to user stories. And this is pretty much what it would look like. So themes are on the portfolio level, portfolio backlog, spanning multiple products. And then each team takes a few initiatives from this theme. They put this in the product backlog, break this down to epic, and then moving into planning their work into the sprint backlog in stories. So in a look into scaled agile, the way this would work. So when we do PI planning in scaled agile, as an input, we have the program backlog, prioritized program backlog, and the vision. And the vision comes from the strategy, and essentially the product backlog comes from the OKR. So the OKRs describe and prioritize the program backlog, and the vision comes from the strategy and the objectives as well. So describing the business outcomes we need in order to achieve the strategy. So this is our input towards the PI planning. After the PI planning, this is where we have a feedback loop, and we get the PI objectives, which essentially is, after the team's plan, they make some commitments, and then the PI objectives feedback give us feedback back into our key results, into our quarterly goals, and we adjust accordingly. Closing, I wanna go really fast over what we talked about today. So we saw what OKRs are, how we can implement them the right way. OKRs should be bi-directional. OKRs don't come top down. We should always have in mind the people that are closer to the implementation. They are the experts. We hire them for that exact reason. We have to go with a business problem to them, and they have to give us answers. And they have to describe how we're going to solve this. OKRs should be value-based. We should go with the business value we want to achieve, and the teams focus on how. And we should always make sure that our goals are smart, and everyone is kept on the same page that way. We talked a bit about why Agile needs OKR. We talked about how Agile focuses on software delivery, focuses on strategy execution, while OKRs provide us this connection between execution and the strategic view, and also provide us these feedback loops in order to remain agile and be able to adapt in changes. We also saw how OKRs can work in Scrum and SAFe, and how they can be drivers of our backlog prioritization, and how we can use them during our planning process. And finally, always keep in mind all these frameworks, the same as Scrum, Kanban, SAFe, everything, same applies for OKRs. They are just frameworks. So what I talked about today is best practices, the way that we are implementing it, but we should always keep in mind that the process is there to serve the team and not the other way around. Thank you very much.